Hello everybody, welcome to our fabulous web show, and we're going to bring you back some wonderful products. Okay, so there's a new demonstration and we've also got a new bundle configuration for you. So I'm using our beautiful Nature's Embrace and it really is stunning. So what are you going to get in the bundle? You're going to get Nature's Embrace, which is a collection of 4 dies. So there's No Place Like Home, our Forest Friends Gathering. So you get all of this in here. So our lovely deer and foxes. Then you get the Floral Fence. Again, beautiful. You're going to get the Birch Forest, which actually cuts out those fabulous birch trees. You're going to get your SVG and also Minecraft Studio with that bundle, which you will receive when through an email. So you'll have a link to be able to download that. And if you are members, it will automatically go onto your membership where your membership is. So you'll see it. So if you're a member, you'll get it 2 ways. And if you're not a member of the club, you'll just get it through an email link. Then we have, in addition, we've got our fabulous Craftmaster 3D frames. Now, these really are a game changer when you're making your 3D projects, especially if it's going to be home decor, which is kind of where I've gone with this one. So you get your 3D frames. So this one is your 1/2 inch wide. So you're able to make 3 12 by 12 frames with this. This one is your 3/4 inch wide. Again, 3 12 by 12 frames, but you can cut them down, which is what I'm going to do. You've got your pure print vellum, 90 GSM, a pack of 30 A4 sheets on here. Just brilliant. And also a pack of our premium pure print 250 GSM, and there's 50 sheets in one of these. So you're getting the whole bundle. Remember, you've got the Minecraft Studio and your SVGs. So we have a beautiful deal price for you. Now, this is fabulous. The actual price cost should be £128.16. And that's all individual. The deal price is £85.94. But our club members, for this one, you're saving £50 and 81p. That's massive. And you're going to pay £77.35. But as always, if you look on our website, there's payment options for everybody. So here we have, you're going to get all of that. And don't forget those 2 downloads that you're getting as well. So let's show you the collection for those of you that haven't already seen it. It is beautiful. So I have my boards, etc. here. So first of all, we have that beautiful back paper, and we have our lovely cottage and the stone wall. Okay, but within that die, you get the piece that actually does the cutting. So I have the dies with me, so I can actually show you this. So I'll bring this in here. You have this long die, and that sits within that foliage to cut that out like so. So now I can lift that up and tuck things in if I want to. And then we also have this smaller one that you can put across the wall. This is entirely up to you, where you could have it down the side of the path, put in a line in here. So all these do are actually add a small line, a cut line. It doesn't actually cut everything off, so it's not cutting anything out. It's allowing you that point to be able to tuck in. You get the fabulous little cottage, and you also get the actual wallway that overlaps and comes at the front. Beautiful. So that's the first one. The second one you're going to get is a Swift system, which is this one here. So one pass through the actual machine, you cut all of this out in one go, which is phenomenal. And I just love the fact that we've got them in different sizes. They've got them in different orientations, so they're facing towards and away from each other. And we've also got some foliage and mushrooms and things in this one. So that is the gathering. Then we have that floral gate. And again, with the floral gate, which is this one here, you have these extra cuts that you then line up the right way up along here, and it adds in more definition, or you can go off down the edge here. So it's entirely up to you where you add in these cuts to add in that definition or that tuck-in area. Then you have the 3 pieces, so you can cut out the gate post, the fence, or that beautiful floral. So that is the floral gate. And then we have are beautiful trees. Aren't these stunning? So then that would be, let me just move that forward so you can see these here. So we have two different variations of the actual trees. So we can have them in the distance and forward, or even have these tucked in. Lots of different ways of using this. We have, in addition, some rocks or stones, and you can use them in different orientations. So you could have them this way or stood up. Snip into these, so you've got extra boulders as well. And then you have this little bit of foliage or shrubbery here that you can have in to hide all these elements. So that is the 4 dies, but then you're able to make something that looks like this, which is just beautiful. So all of that comes together, creating your background, your midground, and all of your foreground in one go. And can you see where we've tucked in those younger trees, even though they can be used in the distance, but these are our saplings, these are the new younger trees in the front, to actually make that a beautiful picture. And then all the animals in different orientations, smaller ones in the distance, the little deer behind, the bigger one at the front. So it really does, it almost like captures that moment in time. So now, first time, this is, I'm going to be totally honest, this is the first time I've had a go at this. I am not a Minecraft Studio person, I'm not a computer person, but in Minecraft Studio, I was so excited when I started having a go. I've made myself a backing paper, and I just love it. So to make the backing paper, I brought in the whole background and I made it longer. So I've made myself a little bungalow. So it's not a taller house now. I've stretched that out. Brought in the front element and the trees because I needed to hide the trees. So I just took the trees behind and sent it one back. The florals I put at the front, but then I also made smaller and actually put on the house. And then because the trees, I've got nothing on them, that little foliage that we saw in the dies, I've made larger in different variations and actually made myself a tree. So that was my first attempt at a backing paper with Minecraft Studio, and I'm really, really pleased how it turned out, really pleased. So that is something that I'm going to do much more of in the future. So this is printed on that fabulous vellum that's in the collection that we've put together for you. Now, that on its own is wonderful, but I wanted to make it into a piece of home decor, something a bit different, because we can make cards, give them away, but I think a piece of home decor is a little bit different. And I've done it so it can be sat on a windowsill. That's why I've used the vellum. So now I'm going to bring in, these are incredible. I adore working with these. You can put your different mediums on them, you can paint them, you can print out different cardstock and actually cut and cover them as well if you wanted to. Use your rice papers to cover them. They're phenomenal. So looking at this, I've already made myself one of the frames, and this is the 1/2 inch, so this is the narrow frame. Okay, so that's my first one. Now let me show you how I actually put that together. So when you actually start making your frame, you're going to need 4 pieces. Now I've already put half of it together, and they'll all be the same length. Okay, so they're all 12 inches. This one I've chopped down because I want it to fit that A4 image that I've created. So here I have them already put together on 2 of them. How do we get to that? So when you receive them, they'll all be laid flat like this. They won't be folded, but you have got the score lines in here. The only important thing that you have to remember is when you're working with them, this angle here, all 4 of them need to be the same orientation. So if you start with them all facing this way, you have to keep working with them with this on the left. If you prefer to work with it on the right, that's fine, but my preference is I like it to work on this side. Then each score line, we're just going to reinforce the score line and fold. Okay, so we've done that, we've folded all the lines and we end up with them like this. And again, remember, we keep working with them the same way, okay? This is at this end. Then I've added some red liner tape on that top one. So if I unfold it, on this bottom one, on the fold line or near to the fold line, I've put my red liner tape. Now you can use your wet glue at this point. It just takes a little bit longer to dry. To actually seal it, I fold that under and turn it over like that, so that edge is folded. Take my red liner, my pokey tool. I'm going to pull some of the red liner tape off, not all. And then I fold these two up to meet it, okay? And then I take that away. And it creates my side of my frame, okay? Super simple. So then I would have 4 pieces, all the same length, and they'll all have that chamfered edge all on the left, okay? You have to keep them like this because if you don't and you end up with one this way, it won't create your frame. So now we've got that. The next thing I need to do is measure my actual image. So then I brought in my image, okay? And I know how big I need this to be, like so, okay? And then this side one I need to cut down. So this is as much as I've chopped off. So again, keeping it the same, I'm just going to take a pen, like so. Make sure it's level. Put a little mark so I know I'm happy with that. Okay. You're going to use that straight edge. You can do this with a guillotine or you can just do it with scissors like I am. And cut her down that line. Like so. I do actually keep these as packing and things for using behind my other elements, because if you chop them down, you can actually have them as 3D elements, and then your little images, your little characters will fold down inside your cards as well. So I don't actually throw those away. So now I would have 2 long pieces, 1, 2, and I've got 2 shorter pieces, okay? So this is where we create the frame. So now I've took those 2 together. That one's going to lift and rotate round that way. And this one is going to rotate once and then twice. Because each one, you need to have one of these. So you want a chamfered edge and a cut edge, a straight edge. And then we're going to add some glue. Now I like to work with the wet glue, and I always do them in 2. So I've already done that half. So, and to do this, I squash the frame a little bit, slide it in where I need it to be, where it stops, and then lift it up. Now, as you can see, I'm working on our Craft Master mat, okay? I've got the messy mat on top because I'm gluing, so I don't want to get glue on my actual lovely grid, but I can still see through that messy mat and I can still see my grid. So this is where, excuse me a second, I'm going to use that grid to line up and get my frame perfect, okay? So on those 2 lines in the corner, I know I've got a perfect frame. Or I could use this piece here. I just need 2 straight edges, like so. So that is half of my frame. So now I can add glue on this one. And then glue on this. And I do tend to do, even on this top piece. Again, I squash that frame so it goes in easier. Squash it again, there we go. Just going to tap it into place like so. And then again, I'm using this grid. I'm looking to make sure that I've got all those sides, which is phenomenal. So our messy mat, being transparent like it is incredible because it works beautifully on top of that grid frame. So now I know that my square or my rectangle, all my angles are going to be perfect. And I work on this. This is actually one off my desk. I work in this combination all the time now. Okay, so those are my 2 frames. So I have my image that I've made on Minecraft Studio, which I'm super excited about. Then my second frame, I've made exactly the same, and that is going to sit on top. So I've now got this beautiful double frame, okay? So I'm going to set that aside so that can actually start drying, like so, and we'll bring in our pieces. So here we can see we have already prepared lots of pieces that I've cut out. Now I don't need this piece because I'm not working with that. I've actually got my background. What I do need are my trees. So I get all of those out. Again, we don't need the background because I've used what I needed. So I've got my tree set to one side. I've got my beautiful gate pieces, which is here. And I love that we get the Minecraft Studio elements and the SVG elements, because obviously if you're working with the SVG files, you can make this as big as you want it. If you can leave it as a 12 by 12 and have trees that are big trees to fill the whole space. So you could make a beautiful shadow box using your SVG files. And then I've got lots of animals and foliage ready to actually use. And there's lots going on here. So I'm ready with everything that I need to make. So that's had time to set. I'm going to put a little bit of glue along here. Now also putting these two pieces together reinforces this frame considerably. Okay, that now sits on top. Just going to make sure it's squared up. And at this point, any of your mediums that you like to use, you could just use red liner tape again if you wanted to. But I've done it like this. So if I flip that over, can you see how wide that is now? If I let go of that, that actually stands free on its own. So that's why I wanted to use the box frames, and I've doubled them up because I want it to stand in a windowsill. I want it to be that piece of home decor. Okay, so there we have our box frame. Now we're going to put the image in. So I know that my image fits perfectly on there. I do have to do a tiny little bit of trimming, but I'm okay with that. So I pop a little mark, oops, on there, and a little mark on there. And then I can use one of my frames. So again, I'm using my frame on my mat. So I'm going to put the mark up against one of the lines, like so. Line it up on the grid, so I'm happy it's straight. And now I know that when I put this line on here, because I'm working with that grid, when I draw my line, I'm actually drawing the right. So I'm using it as a measuring tool as well. Flip that over. Same thing again. Line it up to the edge, so I'm on a straight edge, which I am there. Using the rest of my grid. It's all lined up nice and straight. And now I can cut that out with a pair of scissors. This is obviously if you don't have a guillotine. I'm sure many of you actually do. So trim this down. And that now fits perfectly on my box frame, like so. So I can now put a little bit of glue. I'm actually going to put it on my image around the edges, and I'm going quite close to the edge, so it gives me a little bit of wiggle room to manipulate it and get it sat exactly where I want it to be. All the way along. With a little bit of wiggling. Lovely. Get some of that off, so I don't want to transfer the glue anywhere else onto that beautiful vellum that we've printed. Like so. Make sure it's all secure. Just give it a second to actually start so it's attached. Like so. Yeah, I'm quite happy that's attached. Now we can work on this. So flip that over. Isn't that beautiful? That looks like, just as it is, it actually looks like it's a picture from that you would buy anywhere, really. Now we're going to work with the dies. So I'm bringing in my dies. And one of my favourite things to use to actually shape in the dies is I have a little foam mat and a ball tool. If you haven't got a foam mat and a ball tool, you can use your hand and the back of a pencil, or a biro, or your pokey tool, okay, to shape. Okay, and I'm not being particularly gentle with any of this, no rhyme or reason. Quite happy. I want a little bit of shape in here. Doesn't have to be everything. So I'm just going to do a couple of these and then situate them in place. And also it means that I've got lots of places to tuck in, so I can actually use this box frame, this shadow box that I've created. So I can have these actually tucked in and underneath. Because I've glued it right to the very edge, I can still get my pieces tucked underneath there. So I can add that there and add a 3D, which what we're going to do. So put my gel, oops, just spread that out a little bit, and again, and then just a couple more in the middle, just to stop it getting crushed. But by not putting it everywhere, it's going to give me the opportunity of being able to tuck things in around it as well. So that's part of my image. It is going to sit underneath that edge, so I can tuck it in like so. Move it to one side a little bit so we can see the trees in the background. So I've extended my foliage on here. So my image in the background is actually just my jumping off point. It's just my starting place. So moving on to the next little bit. More of those beautiful trees. Oops, like so. This one, because I haven't sealed it down, I can now tuck that in. Okay, like so. And then we can have one of the larger ones to the other side. So this is where I'm keeping my frame balanced. And we don't want lots of this because it is actually, I know it's going to be a piece of home decor, but we don't want lots of glue and things on it. So now this one, I'm going to tuck right down here. And again, I can get it right underneath that frame, like so. Move it across. Push it into place, a little bit more wiggling going on. So that's at the side of the house. Then we've got our boulders, etc., and our shrubbery, which is brilliant. So I'm going to do all of this in here so you've got best of seeing what I'm doing. So here we have our little boulders. And again, these, you can use them in different orientations. So they don't have to stay one way. So we're going to use them in two different ways. This one, I'm going to add in here, like so. This one is going to come down there, and then this little bit of shrubbery is going to add on. So now we're hiding that edge of where that boulder was, but it's giving something a bit more interest to look at. And then with these, oops, 1, 2, 3, a little bit of shape. And these are going to go along this bottom. 1, 2, 3. Using tweezers to keep my fingers out of the way. So again, now I can hide. This is using all the elements. So I'm using the vegetation to create extra pieces, because these aren't actual a thing. It could be anywhere in nature that they've grown like that. So now we have this gate is fabulous. I love these pieces. And it's up to you whether you have it this way up or this way up. So this one and this one. So you can have it with the green at the bottom, maybe it's that way, or you can turn it that way and maybe there's green on the top. It's entirely up to you. So these are now going in my picture. 1, 2. And again, as I'm layering all of this up and using all the elements, you don't need to use lots of glue, because there'll be pieces where we are going to anchor other down because we're putting things on top of them. So you don't have to use masses and masses and masses of glue, because there's going to be an element where that piece is holding the tree down, etc. So now I've got this beautiful foliage, and we have a couple of these, but we can cut into these. We don't have to just use them this way, okay? So we're going to change it a little bit. Remember, in the background, I've actually, with the Minecraft Studio, managed to change the size and the orientation of this, and I've actually got it growing on the house. So again, this is going to tuck underneath, and then this one, wherever I put it, is there in front of me, is going on the other side, but it doesn't matter that it's not that way. I'm going to change it and put it this way, and then I'm going to lift all of this up, and that is going under there like so. So we're keeping it symmetrical and we're creating this frame around the outside edge. And now we can use all of these beautiful animals, etc., all of our foliage, our mushrooms, because I must admit mushrooms are one of my favourites, to add and create in. But also, this could also be blossom in the tree, okay? So we can fill this corner, which we're going to do that. And then we can add in some of the extra elements as well. So that's going on here. 1, 2. So these are now going in this corner. So that is on there. That one is going to be over the top. So we've got a tree with blossom. Okay, we've got a tree in the background. So that is really filling up and looking beautiful now. So let's pop all of these to one side. I may go back and use some more of the boulders, or I might even cut some of these down, because, scissors, I know this is part of the fence, but once we start cutting into these, they're actually just pieces of wood for us to tuck in for the animals to sit on. And then we've got other elements. So again, a little bit of glue. On each piece. I'm going to flip that one over. Tuck in the green edge on one side. This is just an extra piece of bark, and again, the same again. I can tuck this in because this is now giving me lots of places, because we've got birds, etc., where all these animals can now perch. So I have some beautiful mushrooms, which will have a few of those, 2 little brown ones. I have some of the foliage, which again can be either from the bottom or the top, it doesn't matter. We have some berries. I want a little bit more of this greenery, like so. And we have these fabulous deer. Okay, and I want 3 of those, and I want the lovely fox as well. And again, you've got these all in different sizes, which are brilliant. Okay, so let's place that to one side while that's all drying. So no animals were injured in this process. Let's chop off that at 1, 2, and then on this one, take away the tail and also that leg on the inside, because that's actually at the back. Okay, so that's his back leg. That's 1, 2, 3. So let's layer him together. And just remember, all of these elements are working beautifully together. So I'm working with the 250 GSM pure print, which is what I've cut all of my beautiful animals and my tree and everything out of. And I've used my vellum in the background, my printable vellum. I've used my Minecraft Studio to actually create that printable background. And then if I wanted to, I could have created some of these elements with my SVG files and made an even larger image, which is fabulous. So all of this is mixing together. And I love that we've got all of that to be able to do that. Especially now, the phobia I had over using Minecraft Studio has gone. I would be absolutely overjoyed if I was getting all of these every time to be able to create incredible projects and use everything that I've got. So I'm going to use my scan and cut and everything. So they really are a marriage made in heaven. So he is going to go on there. Again, my third layer. So each time on this one, I actually cut what was behind, the furthest thing away. Okay. So the first layer, I trimmed away that back leg, and the second layer, I trimmed away both. So whatever you cut away on your first layer, you trim away straight away on your second, and then you cut a little bit more. Okay. So they're my two animals that are now going to sit within my image. So flip those two over. And then while I'm putting my glue on these, I will do it on the little shrooms as well. And there's no rhyme or reason, there's no right or wrong when you're doing this. You can create more or less. It's entirely up to you. But that is then, sorry, I lost my pokey tool for a second. The idea of giving you all three elements. So the image that I'm making now, I could probably make the whole thing as a flat card in Minecraft Studio. Given a little bit of time and me learning the system, I could have brought all of these elements in. So this could be a perfectly flat card. It could be a gift tag. So I could have made it all in Minecraft Studio, print it off, then send it into, we use my scan and cut, scan all of those pieces in. Just line that one back up again because I've moved it. Scan all the pieces in and cut it out. So now I'm going to have my fox sat in there and my lovely deer, and I can put her back legs so she's jumping over and she's just looking over her shoulder and saying, "Oh, hello, Mr. Fox. Not seen you for a while." And then I'm bringing in these beautiful pops of colour, my little shrooms, and I would put lots of these in, and then using my messy mat, of course it stopped working, put out a little bit of glue, and now I can add in my foliage. So I can add in a little bit of greenery on here. And I'm loving this system of having our messy mat, our cutting mat and our light board is incredible. And again, you can find all of this on Highlight Crafts website. So there we have our fabulous box frame using our Nature's Embrace. But this is one of the reasons I just think this is fabulous. So I'm using this as a 3 system. I've got my messy mat. I've done all my messy work in. I've used my glue. So I'm going to take the messy mat away. Now I've got my box frame and I've got my actual grid. Again, I used my grid to align all of my frame. So now I'm going to take that away. And this is how we work all the time. And now I need to switch that on. That is now the image. So can you imagine that on a windowsill with the light coming through? So we've printed it on that printable vellum that's in the pack. We've got our lovely frames that is in the pack as well. We've got our 250 GSM pure print, which is all the characters and the printing on there. And doesn't that look beautiful? So if you can imagine that on a windowsill with the sunshine coming through, it's going to be a fabulous project. And what a lovely gift to actually give somebody. So thank you very much for joining me for the web show. I hope I've given you some inspiration. The deal is phenomenal, absolutely. So shall we just go through the deal again for you? So it should be $128.16. Our deal price is $85.94. You lovely club members save £50.81. So you're paying £77.35. The postage is free because it's over £25, so there's no postage to pay on that one. And as always, if you check on our website, there are payment options available for everybody. So again, thank you so much for joining me for this lovely web show. I hope you've enjoyed it. I'd like to see your makes. You can find us on Facebook and YouTube. If you go onto YouTube, like and share as well. So we'd love to see everything that you make. So thank you again for joining me, and we'll see you all again soon. Bye.
If you want to see more from Highlight Crafts, make sure you click the like button. Subscribe by clicking the subscribe button below, and click the bell icon to receive notifications of all of our future content. You can also click here to see our latest video, or click here to see more videos like this one.